Happy Wednesday afternoon. Well, it's Wednesday afternoon here for me in beautiful Vancouver at the studio at the Canadian College of English Language, coming to you live from across the internet around the world. Ralph says hi. Hey, Ralph. I think, Ralph, this was your first day today and you're back for more. Is that right? That's reassuring. That's cool. Rose is here. Zainab's here. Anwar. Lots of people are here. Flavio, hi, how are you? Yeah, so anybody who's maybe new, if it's your first time, I'm Shaun. I'm going to be your teacher for the next hour. And I see a lot of familiar names in there. Fatih's there too, cool. And we've got some people in the chat as moderators as well. Jose Antonio, hello to you. Zainab's sleepy. Yeah, I'm sleepy too. Yeah, it's only 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but yeah, it's a long day. No, but I'll muscle through for you guys. Don't worry. Anwar's here too. Cool. Yeah, so we should have some moderators in there. I think Zach's out there somewhere. Maybe Karim. I don't see them in there. There's Karim right there. Cool. So he'll be there to help you out. If you guys have questions or comments during the class, just put your questions in the chat and we'll get to them as quickly and as often as we can and try to help you out. Okay, so yeah, I guess maybe it's not even Wednesday for some people. It depends on, I don't even know what time it is where you guys are or what day it is. Maybe you're in the future. USF is from Saudi. Cool. Ezekiel, hi. How are you? Cool. Okay. Cool. All right, so let's get started. We got a lot to do today. All right, today's lesson is by request. This is something that a lot of students have asked me about. This is something that I used to teach or do teach, I guess, often. And let's start. Let's just jump right into it, okay? Oh, it's midnight where you guys are. Wow, that's 3:30. Yeah, 3:30, 1 a.m. Wow, you guys are hardcore. Yeah, I love it. I appreciate it. You guys staying up so late for me. I know that if I wasn't on the internet, I'm sure you would all be in bed by now. You're staying up just for me. I know. Okay. Hyungwon Park, hello. All right. So today's lesson is focusing on opinions. Opinions are a beautiful thing. Everybody's got one or two opinions, right? And it's great to share your opinions. The thing that I like about opinions is you can't really be wrong, right? Your opinion is your opinion. It's entirely subjective, right? Which means it can be different for different people. Oh yeah, the Olympics are happening there. Cool. Okay, because you love me, that's why you're staying up. That's great. I like that opinion. All right, so today we're talking about opinions. Opinions are a beautiful thing, and we're going to be talking about how to present your opinion and how to defend your opinion. Okay, so really, as I said, the beautiful thing about opinions is you cannot possibly be wrong, but an opinion is only as strong as the argument that supports it. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about opinion-based writing. Okay, again, this is a topic that students are often asking me questions about. So let's jump into it, but I'm going to throw you guys for a bit of a loop today. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I might keep you on your toes a little bit, all right? And I hope nobody misses this, because usually we finish the class with this, but today we're going to start with the mistake of the week. I'm blowing your minds here. Usually we save that for the end. Gudria, hi, how are you? Andre is here, cool. So the mistake of the week, right? We usually do this at the end of class, but today we're going to start with it because it will tie in. It will be connected to something that we talk about today, okay? So today is all about opinions. So I would like you to read a sentence with an opinion in it, okay? So the question is, can you spot the mistake? Can you find the mistake in this sentence? Paolo, it's your first time here. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. All right, we'll take good care of you. So you're looking for a mistake in this sentence. Okay, I'm going to put it on the screen. When I put the sentence on the screen, I'm going to disappear for probably about 5 to 10 seconds, and I want to know who's fastest, who can find the mistake the quickest. Okay, you guys ready? I'm ready. Check out the sentence. It contains an opinion, but it has a mistake in it. I want you to try to find the mistake. All right? Here we go. Read that long sentence and find me the mistake. I'm going to pop off the screen and put on some happy music. Who's the fastest? Go for it. All right. Subject is missing. Capital C. Contradictory. It is contradictory. Promotes. Lots of answers coming in. I'm not sure if I see the right answer. So it is contradictory. Shouldn't be included in the sentence. Maybe Ralph is on the right track. Raphael looks like he's kind of on the right track as well. Now let me show you. Now the problem with this sentence, this is actually for anyone who's a regular person in the class, you may have seen this lesson before. So this is a review of something we did probably a couple of months ago. And I'm going to show you what it is now, because this is going to come back in class today. Okay, so the mistake in this sentence: major sporting events should not accept sponsorship from companies like Coca-Cola and McDonald's because it is contradictory, promotes an unhealthy lifestyle, and it is completely unnecessary. The problem is that little part of the sentence there. Okay? The problem that we're looking at here is something called parallel structure. Okay? Parallel structure means that in a sentence, the different points, the different ideas in a sentence need to be in the same grammatical form. Okay? So if you have 3 points in a sentence, if you have 3 reasons, right, they have to be the same grammar structure. So if it has to be 3 clauses or 3 phrases or 3 nouns. Okay? So if you look at this sentence, you got the word because, right? So this first part here, this is the opinion, right? Saying major sporting events should not accept sponsorship because, and then it gives 3 reasons, right? It gives 3 reasons, but if you look very closely, these 3 reasons are not the same grammar. Okay, now look at it. You got because it is contradictory. Okay, so you got a subject and a verb there. That's a clause. And down at the bottom, you've got it is completely unnecessary. Okay, and in this case, another clause. And then in the middle, you've got that guy there missing, right? You just have promotes an unhealthy lifestyle. So in order for this sentence to be grammatically balanced and even, you have to put that subject in there and say, because it is contradictory, it promotes an unhealthy lifestyle, and it is completely unnecessary. All right, now that's parallel structure. If you're not familiar with parallel structure, we have a whole class on it that you can go back in our playlist, and you can find it and watch the whole class, the whole hour, just on this. Okay, but this is one mistake that we're going to look at later. Okay, I wanted to start the class with something like this, just to kind of get you guys thinking right away. All right, and we're going to come back to this. I just got an OMG. Is that an OMG of horror and fear, or an OMG of wow, that is so cool and amazing? You can clarify if you want. Okay, I know that this is complicated. Don't be scared. I'll walk you through it a little bit later. Okay, so let's dial it back a little bit. Let's relax and get into the main topic of the class. Okay, opinion essay. The opinion essay is a really common essay that at one point in your academic career you will have to write an opinion essay in English or in your own language. Okay, it's very common, and it's a very common test question. Whether it's in a university course or a college course, it could be an IELTS exam or a TOEFL exam or any kind of language assessment exam. Oftentimes they will ask you to write an opinion-based essay. So this is something I'm going to walk you through. Valerie's here. Hey, Valerie. And obviously this will work for native English speakers as well, right? But what we're focusing on today really is more the what I consider the exam essay, kind of the shorter 500 to 1,000 word essays. Okay, so this is what we're looking at today. So I know this is I'm not sure why I put this in here. Maybe this is how people feel about writing, opinion-based writing, but hopefully I can fix that for you. Okay, so here we go. The opinion-based essay. The opinion-based essay, also known as the persuasive essay, also known as the argumentative essay. Okay? And I'm just one step ahead of Rosa there, so she's asking the same question. So basically speaking, yes, a persuasive and argumentative type discursive essay is opinion-based, really. Any essay that's based on opinion can be in this kind of broad category, okay? Even the agree-disagree kind of essay is opinion, okay? So yes, Rosa, absolutely. In the opinion-based essay, you will have some kind of controversial topic. Controversial, meaning many people have different opinions about it. Many people disagree on this topic, this issue, and you have to present your opinion, okay? And then you have to defend and develop your argument with reasons and details. So you have to say, this is my opinion, and this is why. Not exactly like that, but that's the basic premise is, here's my opinion, and here are my reasons for my opinion. And details can be anything from examples and whatnot, research, for example, okay? So this is the basic idea of an opinion-based essay. Now, before you just jump into it and start writing, okay, you have to think about some things first. Oftentimes, especially on a test, a student will get the essay question and they will jump right in and just start writing. But you have to slow it down, take a breath, maybe do some yoga moves or something, whatever you have to do, and think about a few things first, okay? So what you have to consider is that name Tote? Is kind of like T-O-T-E. How do I say that name? You like the program? Good, I'm glad. Thanks for joining. All right, so you have to think about the purpose. What is the purpose of the essay, right? And what are your goals when you're writing the essay? Now, it's not exactly the same thing, or they're connected, but let's look at these two things. What is the purpose, and what are your goals, okay? Now, the first question that this guy has is, what is the purpose? Which sounds really deep, but we're just talking about what is the purpose of an opinion essay, right? We're not quite looking for the meaning of life yet. So the purpose of an essay based on opinion, an opinion essay or persuasive essay, is to persuade the reader, right? I mean, it seems obvious, but it's a good thing to consider that the point of your essay is to persuade the reader, to influence the reader's perspective or to influence the reader's point of view. You may not change their mind completely, but you can influence their opinion in some way, or you can at least get them to say, okay, your opinion is valid, right? We got a question coming in from Rosa. In an opinion essay, can I use the pronoun I or just hide behind my arguments to be objective? That's a good question, Rosa. And I would say if you are talking about formal academic essays for university or college, I would say absolutely do not use the pronoun I. Don't say in my opinion or I think. Just present your opinions. I'm not sure. Yeah, hide behind them. You could say that, I guess. But for an essay for like an IELTS test or a TOEFL exam, they actually are okay with you saying I and I think and in my opinion. So the answer to that question is just always know what the requirements are for that particular essay, right? What does your teacher want, or what does the examiner want? Mohammed is here. Says, hi, everybody. Hi, Mohammed. So this is the purpose, okay? The purpose is to influence the reader, which brings me to the first tip of the day, okay? The first tip is consider your audience. Now, what do I mean, consider your audience? Who is your audience? What does the audience mean? Well, the audience is the reader, right? The audience is the person you're trying to persuade, right? The person who disagrees with you is your audience. This is the purpose of the essay is to persuade this person. So that's who you're writing for. For example, look at this opinion. Okay, read this opinion. I want to know in the chat if anybody disagrees with this opinion. Okay? I say the government should reduce airfare, meaning air ticket prices. The government should reduce airfare for international students wanting to study abroad. Okay? So if you are an international student and you want to come to Canada to study English, I think the government should give you a discount for your plane ticket. How do you guys feel about that? Do you guys agree with that, or do you disagree? I am going to guess. I'm going to assume that you are probably going to agree with this, right? Not many of you are going to disagree. You may, yeah, right. Ralph agrees. Completely agree. Suede, Rosa, yes, they should. Yes, of course you agree. You agree because, yeah, Young Guan, you agree. Everybody agrees. Totally agree. Yeah. Well, you agree because you are not my audience, because most of you are students of English who would probably either have studied in another country or would like to study in another country. So, of course, you are going to agree with this. So for this opinion, you are not my reader. You are not who I'm trying to persuade. So I have to think about who would disagree with this, right? Who would disagree and why? Why would they disagree? Why would they object to this idea? right? Well, probably the airlines or the government, right, would have problems with it, and they would maybe have a problem because they might lose money or they have to spend money, right? So the question is like, why? Why do you have to think about this? And we'll go into more detail about this kind of thing probably in another class. I think the whole opinion essay topic is probably going to take 2 lessons to get through. But really what you want, right? You like that picture? It's nice. You want a balanced argument. You want to consider both sides. Yeah, Raphael says if he's the owner of the aircraft company, the Treasury doesn't agree. Exactly, right. So you want to look like you have a balanced argument, like you have considered both sides, that you're not just thinking about this side, but you're looking at both sides, because that will make your argument, that will make your opinion essay stronger if you consider, well, who would disagree? Why would they disagree? Okay? If you're just focused on your own opinion, then you might not consider some pretty strong points that people could use against you or to kind of criticize your argument. Okay? Now this concept we'll come back to. All right? Now the next question is, what is my goal? What is the goal of the essay? Well, we know the purpose is to persuade, but what are your goals? Okay? And for that, you have to think about, how are you being marked? How are you being assessed on this essay? Okay, now your goal is to present a focused and logical argument. Okay, a focused and logical argument, which means coherent and cohesive sentences. Ezekiel, you got a question coming in. Is it possible ego wants to study abroad? I don't entirely understand the question, Ezekiel. Can you be a little bit more specific with that question? Okay. Okay. So back to this. Your goal is to present a focused and logical argument with coherent and cohesive sentences. And again, I've got a whole lesson on cohesion and coherence if you want to check that out. Your goal is to show critical thinking, right? To show that you have thought about this issue, this topic. And then, of course, if you are a language student, if this is for IELTS, if this is for TOEFL, okay, fluency is something you want to consider. So the range of vocabulary, you want to have a range of vocabulary, and you want accuracy and a range of grammatical structures, okay? So you want to use different sentence types, different structures of grammar to show that you can use a range of different structures, but correctly, okay? So that's the goal. Let's talk about the structure of the essay. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more, and then eventually I'm going to get you guys to do some work for me. But I think to start this lesson, to really get the opinion essay topic going, I'm going to have to do more speaking than usual, okay? So as far as the structure goes, I'm sure most of you know the basic essay structure, and a couple of you may have even been in some IELTS classes that I put together, and you'll see some things that are similar there too. But the structure of your basic essay structure is introduction, 1 paragraph, and then your body, which we'll say has 3 paragraphs, and then your conclusion, which is 1 paragraph. This is your basic essay structure. Now, the introduction is really always going to be 1 paragraph. The conclusion is always 1 paragraph. The body can be as many paragraphs as you need it to be, right? Because some essays are 250 words, some are 500, some are 2,000, some are, well, 10,000, right? So it really depends on how long the essay is, okay? So you can add as many body paragraphs in there as possible. Now today, our focus is going to be on the introduction. All right, Rose is asking, is it right that argumentative essay has 3 patterns? Possibly, but I'm not sure if I would even limit it to that. There are different different possibilities, I would say, for the argumentative essay, Rosa. You could, again, if you want to get more specific there, I'll try to answer that question as well. So, again, this is your basic structure. It could vary. It could be 2 paragraphs. It could be as many paragraphs in the body as you need. Okay? But today we're going to be focusing on the introduction, because that's really, well, that's an important part of the essay. Okay? I know I'm always talking about food here, yeah? But this is your basic essay. I think for some of you, I've put this up here before, that your basic essay is like a delicious hamburger, right? A delicious burger where you've got the intro here and the conclusion here, but the meat, all the good stuff is in the middle, right? Your argument, all your defense, your reasons, your details, everything is in the middle of this delicious burger, but you still do need a good, strong introduction. Otherwise, you're just going to get all of that cheesy stuff all over yourself. You're going to be a mess, okay? So that's the importance of having a nice introduction. Yeah, not hamburger, but you need that strong. Yeah. You guys are getting hungry? I'm sorry. Yeah. So this is your basic essay structure. And really, when you think about the ideas themselves, the introduction, the body, the conclusion, it really should be going from the more general ideas, the more general information, down into the more specific ideas. So your intro is general. By the end of the introduction, it's getting more specific. The body is super specific. And then the conclusion, it kind of opens up again and gets more general. Okay? So this is kind of the organization. Yeah. Karim has a good point. You should always eat before my class. Yeah, always come to my class on a full stomach. Yeah, I should actually take that advice too. I don't. I'm just drinking water this whole time, but that's okay. So this is your basic structure. I thought, because of for obvious reasons, I thought that one of the topics that we would look at for the argumentative opinion essay would be Olympics-based, kind of, sports. Okay, so here's an essay question. Professional athletes who test positive for performance-enhancing drugs should receive a lifetime ban from the sport. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Okay, so this is a very common style of essay question, whether it's on an IELTS exam or TOEFL exam or any kind of university course. You get a statement, and then you are asked how much or how little you agree with this statement. So professional athletes, if they take drugs to make themselves faster or stronger, they should be kicked out of the sport forever. That's the statement, and it's asking how much do you agree with this statement? Do you agree or disagree? Okay, so this is the one we're going to look at kind of as an example. Okay, so we'll come back to this. All right. You agree because he's cheating? Good. And yeah, feel free to discuss this topic in the chat, guys. You can put your opinions in there. I'm interested in hearing your opinions. Okay? So let's talk about the intro. The introduction, the introductory paragraph of your essay, typically should have about 3 to 4 sentences. Okay? It could be longer. It can be, I wouldn't make it any shorter than 3. But again, I don't like to give really strict rules on how many sentences to put in a paragraph, because it really depends on how long the sentences are, and it depends on how long the essay is. Okay, but if you're writing an essay for a test and you have a short amount of time, you probably don't want much more than 3 to 4 sentences in your introductory paragraph. Okay, so let's talk about that. 3 to 4 sentences in that paragraph to start. You want some sentences that are general, right? 2 or 3 sentences that are general, and then a thesis statement, which is 1 sentence that is very, very, very specific. Okay, so the introduction has general sentences and then specific sentences, okay, or a specific sentence, I should say. So let's talk about this. The thesis statement, okay, the thesis statement is the most important sentence of your entire essay, okay? It's the most important sentence because it presents the main idea of your essay. And in the opinion essay, your main idea is your opinion, okay? So you need a good, strong thesis statement that presents your opinion at the end of your introductory paragraph. And speaking of that, the thesis statement is always, 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 always the final sentence of your introductory paragraph. The thesis statement is really easy to find. It's always the last sentence of your introductory paragraph, okay? So this is the basic formula, the basic pattern for a good intro paragraph. Now you're saying it should be short because the main idea is in the body. Well, almost. The main idea technically is in the introduction, in the thesis, but the main argument, all the reasons and the details, Gudria, I agree, are in the body. So again, you don't want, if you're looking at a hamburger, you don't want a really thick piece of bread on top and then a little tiny, teeny, skinny burger in there, right? Okay. So, Melaine is here. Hi. Okay. Rosa is saying the most difficult part in writing an essay is writing the introduction. Yeah, I agree that the introduction is difficult. It's tricky. It's hard to know how to get started, right? How do you get started with the intro? Well, let's see if I can kind of walk you through it a little bit today. Okay, so as I said, the intro should be general sentences and then specific, right? So the general sentences, those 3 or 4 or 2 or 3 sentences at the beginning of your introductory paragraph, the first sentence should get the reader's attention, right? You want to get the reader's attention with an engaging opening sentence. You want to start your essay with a strong sentence, which some people call the hook, right? You want to get that attention. It's like your first impression, right? So get the reader's interest. Then you might have to give the reader some more background information that they need to understand the issue, okay? If you're talking about a controversial topic that many people disagree with, you have to give maybe a little bit of information so that the reader understands what is the problem, what is the disagreement, okay? And the whole point of these first opening sentences is to prepare the reader or kind of lead the reader. Think about that hourglass like this. You are taking the reader to your thesis statement, which is your opinion, okay? So it's kind of those general sentences are creating a path for your reader to get to your main idea, your thesis statement, yeah? So tip number 2, now this is important, write an engaging opening sentence. So this is what Rose is saying she has trouble with. All students have trouble with that first opening sentence, yeah? But don't worry about it too much, okay? And let me give you a couple things to avoid, and then I'll give you an example of a fine opening sentence, okay? So avoid bland, uninteresting facts, okay? Don't start your sentence with just some kind of weak, obvious statement, okay? For example, this year's Summer Games is being held in Rio, okay? Actually, I mean, technically, if you want to think about it, it is the Summer Olympics, but it's winter in Brazil, isn't it? Right? So are these actually the Winter Olympics if it's winter in Brazil? Did I just blow your minds? I don't know. You can discuss your opinion of that in the chat. Is this the Winter Olympics or not? Okay. So don't start the sentence with just a kind of obvious fact. It's not very interesting. You'll lose the reader right away. He'll be sleeping on the sofa like this, okay? So you want to give them something else. But another thing you want to avoid is questions, okay? Many times students feel like they have to start the essay with a question. Like, have you ever had a dream? For example, I don't know why I wrote that, but this kind of thing, sometimes students think it's a good way to engage the reader to ask this question. But for me personally, I think it's too common, okay? People do it too much, so it's lost its power. It doesn't have any any punch anymore to ask a question. And it's a little bit too informal to speak directly to the reader. It's very, very familiar, like your friends, okay? So I would not start my essays like this, okay? So how do you start the essays? Right, okay, so yes, a couple people are a little bit ahead of me here, but that's right. Corey, hi. Yeah, so avoid questions. You don't want to start with questions. I don't know why I should be wagging my finger at you guys. Okay. So how do you make a nice sentence? Well, let me just show you a simple one. Okay, on the topic of athletes and the drugs. Okay. For many professional athletes, the temptation to take performance-enhancing drugs can be almost impossible to resist. Very nice. Look at that. So that's fine. Okay, now the problem that a lot of students have with that opening sentence is they want something that will just blow everybody's mind. They want a sentence that will blow the reader's mind, right? Something amazing with fireworks and people will just be like, wow, that's the most amazing sentence I've ever seen. But you don't need to write the most amazing sentence anyone has ever seen. This is fine. I wrote this. It's not amazing, but it's fine, okay? And why is it fine? It's fine for two reasons, in my opinion. If you don't think this is a good opening sentence, put that in the chat too. That's fine. You can disagree with me. I love opinions, okay? So why is this good? Because it introduces the topic, right? We're talking about performance-enhancing drugs. So I've got that in the very first sentence, yeah? And words like temptation and phrases like impossible to resist, these are pretty strong, okay? I mean, again, it's not blowing anybody's mind, but this sentence, it introduces the topic and it's making kind of a strong statement at the beginning, okay? So again, especially if you're on the clock, if you're being timed for your essay, you can't sit around and think about this amazing sentence. Just put something simple, but not boring. Although I know that's hard to judge, I guess, sometimes. Okay? So Ezekiel's saying it's winter, but it's hot like the summer. It's true. So it is the summer. We should call it the summer-like Olympics, right? Anybody here that was here last week, we talked about the suffix like. So we'll say the summer-like Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. Okay. So this is a good hook, okay? But after that, you don't want to jump right into the thesis yet. You're not ready. You want to give a little bit more context before you get to your opinion, okay? So things like, think about, what could you say? Doping is very common in many sports. You think about cycling or running, taking drugs is quite common. Athletes are under tremendous pressure to win. Athletes push their bodies to the physical limits. Pressure makes them desperate for a competitive advantage. All of this stuff. Now, I'm not saying you should put all of this information in your paragraph, but you want to add a little bit more information about the controversy, about the issue, okay, before you get to the thesis statement. Now, the thesis statement, as I said, is the most important sentence of the essay. Now, Gajria is saying drugs destroyed many athletes. Yeah, and that's a great thing to put in that first paragraph too. Good. I mean, well, again, I don't mean good, but I mean good. Good answer. It's not good that it destroyed many athletes. Rose is saying, but how to write and persuade readers, but you don't have any information about the subject. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. Now, I mean, my answer to that one, Rose, is usually, I would say in most cases, especially for IELTS or something like that, it will be a broad topic that most people will have information about. But yeah, I mean, if you don't know anything about it, yeah, that would be hard to do. But if you're at home and you get to do it for homework, that's what we've got Google for, I guess, is my answer to that. Not a great answer, but there's really no good answer for that question, Rosa. Yeah, good for you. You stumped me. Okay. So the thesis statement is the spark. The thesis statement is the engine. It is the navigation. It is the controlling idea of your entire essay. Everything in your body paragraphs comes from the thesis statement, which is why it's so important to have a good, strong thesis statement, right? So, how do you write a good thesis statement? The thesis statement presents your main idea, as we said, it's your opinion, okay? But the thesis statement presents your main opinion, your main idea, right? Which brings me to my next tip, tip number 2. This might be tip number 3. I lost count. I'm an English teacher, not a math teacher, yeah? Okay. So make sure your position is clear. In other words, get off the fence, right? You can't be in the middle for an opinion-based essay, okay? Don't be like, oh, maybe this, maybe that. In your thesis statement, you have to take a position. You have to make it clear. You got to get off the fence. The internet is so full of pictures of squirrels on fences. It's endless. Yeah, it's a wonderful place to find pictures of squirrels on fences if you're looking for them, okay? So get off the fence. Pick one side or the other. Even if it's 60-40, you've got to choose a side, okay? Because the whole essay depends on your opinion, all right? So the thesis statement, here's the thesis statement. Cell phones should not be permitted in the classroom, okay? Cell phones should not be permitted in the classroom. This as a thesis statement it's fine because the opinion is clear, right? If this is my opinion, if this is my thesis statement, you know what side of the fence I'm on. I'm saying they should not be allowed in the classroom, which I actually don't agree with this, but as an example, okay? But it can get better than this, right? Yeah, you must be in or out, exactly. Do or do not. Yeah. All right. So this can get better. A strong thesis statement presents 3 main points of your argument. The 3 main points of your argument. Now, again, if you only have time for 2, that's fine. I say 3 because 3 is just the magic number, okay? That's all good things come in 3s. So if you have 3 good reasons to use to support your opinion, you should include those 3 ideas in your thesis statement, okay? Now don't give up too much information, but the points, these 3 points, are going to be the main focus of your body paragraphs, okay? So these are the reasons that you will develop and explain in the body. And of course, going back to the mistake of the week at the beginning of class, these points have to be grammatically parallel. So the 3 points in the sentence have to be the same grammar structure, okay? The magic number. So just to make it clear, because I know I'm talking a lot, I know I'm saying a lot here, let me show you another example. Cell phones can cause disruption, create distractions, and enable cheating. Therefore, they should not be permitted in the classroom. Okay? So this is a stronger thesis statement than the first one because you've got the 3 points there. And also, if you look at it closely, you'll see that it is grammatically parallel because I say cell phones can cause disruption, that's right, that's a verb and an object, create distractions, verb object, enable cheating, verb object, okay? So Gudrea is saying if the writer is a journalist and he wants to be neutral, okay, if you're talking about, yes, If you're talking about writing an article for a newspaper or a magazine, to be perfectly honest, there are no rules. Okay? I mean, there are guidelines for good journalism. If there's any journalists out there, don't get angry at me. But essays, the rules for essays are much stricter than anything else. If you're writing magazine, newspaper articles, if you're writing stories or on a blog or anything, you don't really have to follow the same rules. But for an opinion essay, you just don't want to seem like you don't know what side of the argument you're on, okay? Rose has got another question coming in. So we are writing the paragraphs to follow this order, or can we change it? Excellent question. Good. So I would say, just for style, just for organization, and for clarity, yes, that the points you put in your thesis statement here should follow the order in the body paragraph. So your first body paragraph should be about this, second about this, third about that. Okay? Again, this is a general rule, but that would be my advice for sure. You're not, and you're definitely not asking too many questions, Rosa. These are all excellent questions that more than, you are not the only person thinking about those questions. I love questions. Yeah, it keeps me on my toes, keeps me sharp. Okay, so you'll see that these are parallel. This is a strong thesis statement. So getting back to this, I'll give you one more example, and then you guys have to do some work for me. Oh my goodness, I've been talking so much, time is flying by. Here was our essay question, right? Professional athletes who test positive for performance-enhancing drugs should receive a lifetime ban from the sport. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So this is my thesis statement. I say professional athletes caught taking performance-enhancing drugs should be banned from the sport for life. Now, I've taken the original statement and I've kind of paraphrased it a little bit, okay? Now, again, this is fine, but when it comes to the points, the formula is basically the same for all thesis statements. And you can say because A, B, and C, okay? I'm not gonna give you the points yet. So, banned from the sport for life because A, B, and C, because of this reason, this reason, this reason. And just make sure that A, B, and C are clause, 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 or phrase, 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 okay? Because of this and this and this, just to make sure that they are grammatical. But of course, you could flip it and do that as well. Because of A, B, and C, professional athletes caught taking performance-enhancing drugs should be banned from the sport for life. I should have a period at the end of that sentence, but I forgot. Okay? So this is your basic thesis formula. You can follow this pattern for basically for all thesis that you write for any kind of opinion essay. Okay? Now, Rosa was apologizing for asking too many questions. No need for that. But I think I'm talking too much. I want you guys to do a little bit of practice for me before we run out of time, okay? So based on this, I would like you to create some thesis statements for me, okay? Now look at these 3 questions. Now I'm gonna pop off the screen in a minute, and I'd like you to try to write me. Now I said write 3. If you have time to write 3, great. But if you only have time for one good thesis statement, that's okay too. I want to look at some of these thesis statements. So create thesis statements for these 3 questions. 1, should teachers socialize with students outside of the classroom? Okay, so should teachers and students spend time together socially after school? 2, should the government of a country use tax money to fund the arts? So should the government use tax money to give it to art galleries and museums and artists for music and for movies, movie industries and that kind of thing? And then the last one, should tobacco companies, cigarette companies, be permitted to sponsor athletes, sports teams, and sporting events? Okay, now, how about to start, just to make sure we have enough time, pick one, you can pick any of the 3, and write me a beautiful thesis statement with your opinion, and try to get 3 reasons in there. So teachers should socialize because of A, B, and C, or the opposite. Okay? So I'm going to pop out for a couple minutes. Do what you can. If you have questions, put them in the chat. We're here for you. I'm here for you. Karim is here for you. Give me something beautiful, and we'll go over it together. Okay? I'm going to pop out, guys. Go for it. All right. Yeah, no one's stepping up to the plate here. Yeah. Maybe everybody's still working on it. But I thought, you know what, this is a pretty difficult task, all right, to ask you to do this. But while you're doing that, while you're writing your thesis statements, I thought that I would show you an example of an intro paragraph for that first topic about the athletes. Okay, so let me pop out of here, and I see some coming into the chat now. That's great. So let me just show you what I'm talking about here, and then I'll put a couple of your thesis statements up there to look at. So here is my introductory paragraph on the topic of professional athletes taking performance-enhancing drugs. Okay, so let me make it nice and big, get that out of there so that everybody can see it. So we already saw this part, right? We said for many professional athletes, the temptation to take performance-enhancing drugs can be almost impossible to resist. That was my opening statement, right? My little hook. That's good. It's all right. And then from there, I've got two sentences of more context, more background information, okay? So I said, in order to win, athletes have to push their bodies to their physical limits and put themselves under tremendous pressure to succeed. The temptation to gain a competitive advantage is understandable. However, taking these drugs is not only physically dangerous, it is entirely unethical. And then I have led to my magical, beautiful, fantastic thesis statement, which is, therefore, for the good of the athletes, fans, and the sport itself, professionals caught taking performance-enhancing drugs should be banned from the sport for life. So again, in this case, I've taken 3 points. I'm talking about the athletes, protecting the fans, and most likely I'll talk about protecting the reputation of the sport. Okay, now I guess I'm kind of in the way of that one there. Yeah? But that's a pretty solid intro paragraph. It's not the most amazing thing you're ever going to see, but it's a pretty good start. Okay, so I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to comment on a couple of these before we run away for the day. And again, if you guys have questions about my intro, you can put them in there. So let me make this nice and big so everybody can see it. All right, so this is from, what is this from? Suede? Yeah? So because cigarettes damage health, waste money, and cause social problems, therefore, tobacco companies should not be permitted to sponsor athletes, sports teams, and sporting events. Now this is really good, really nice. Thank you for that. That's great. A couple things I would fix. Now, you've got because here, but this part of your sentence is not complete. This is what we call a dependent clause, okay? So the only thing you have to do, I would say take therefore out, okay? Because you already have because, so you don't need therefore and because. Take that period away, put a comma there, and it's fantastic, okay? Really nice, because cigarettes damage health, waste money, cause social problems, tobacco companies, blah, 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 blah. Good. Okay. Good. All right, how about this? I'm gonna put one more up here. Rosa, because you've been asking so many questions, I'll put yours up here to help you out, hopefully. All right. And again, I'll make this nice and big so everybody can see. All right, now, teachers should socialize with their students outside the classroom because students will not feel shy to ask questions. It increases collaboration, and it gives them more time to practice exercises. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. I would get rid of that space. Always make sure you got that capital at the beginning of the sentence. I know I'm getting picky. Yeah, and that's good because grammatically you've got everything there, right? You've got a clause here, and a clause here, and a clause here. So you've got 3 points, all parallel. You've got the clear opinion there with should. They should socialize, and it's nice. Okay, this is good. Two good student examples, and that's, I guess, kind of perfect timing because it's time to go. I can't believe an hour just flew by like that. But again, the topic of today's lesson was really because people were asking for it. I had that request. So we will continue on. I'm not sure if it'll be next week or the week after that. We will continue with opinion essays, okay? Because we have to talk about body paragraphs. We have to talk about something called the counter argument, which is really important. Conclusions and all that wonderful stuff. We're just really getting into the beginning of it, okay? So hopefully I helped you with your introductions anyway, and we will continue. Yeah, don't worry, Mark won't see that space. I took it away, so he'll never know what happened. Okay, don't worry about it. So let me jump out of here. All right, guys. Always a pleasure. Time flies when you're talking about thesis statements. I hope you keep practicing your English. I hope you keep coming to class. Mark will be back next week in his regular time spot. I will be here as usual at 3 o'clock Vancouver time. And what can I say? Thanks for joining. Keep liking us on Facebook, asking questions on the Facebook page. Keep watching our videos. Tell your friends to subscribe and spread the word. And keep practicing your English. Keep writing essays. And if you have any more questions, send them to us on Facebook, as I said. I enjoyed having you guys here, as always. It's a highlight of my week. And we will see you here next time. Okay? Until then, bye-bye.